Today I want to talk about a little bit about communist cars and communist buses. One of the most popular communist cars in Poland was this little Fiat. The Fiat was called the Maluch. It was a very small car. They made it for about 20 or so years, maybe even 30, and it didn't really change much during those years. Here's the Fiat 126. It was like the next most popular car, and both of these cars were quite reliable. But this one, I heard that it did burn quite a bit gas. And then there's like the Serena. This one was like a very old type of car, produced I think in the 70s. I haven't even seen these on the roads. And here's another one. I hardly ever seen these on the roads either. And here's probably the most popular car, was the Polonez car. Now this car was very safe and did very well in crash tests. But what I want to mention is the reason that cars in Poland never got really good is that the communist government never spent money in developing cars. Cars were considered a luxury, so if something is a luxury, why spend money on it? Everyone in communism is supposed to be equal. Now they did have some nice trucks too, like they did have a front-wheel drive truck. I believe it was sometime in the 70s that was ahead of its age. But now their trucks are mostly just military trucks because the military is pretty much the only thing that buys them. Now, what they did invest during communist times is instead of investing in cars, they would invest in public transportation. So they have some really nice buses that they currently even make now. Here's the Solaris bus. Here's another Solaris. Here's Autosan. And there's a couple different companies that make buses. And they're very good at making buses. They export these buses all over Europe and sometimes even Africa. Here's Ursus. And some of these buses are even one of the first electrical buses, in Europe. So they make really good buses. Here's like the communist buses back in the day. And they make some really good trains too. Like here's the Peso train. Here's the Peso train again. Here's another Peso. I think there's also a couple different train makers also. I don't know all the names, but they didn't invest much money into cars because they thought it was a luxury. So I invest in cars. Everyone is supposed to, get on buses and trains. So they made really good trains and buses, and that's kind of the way it is still today. They still make really good buses and trains. Although I've heard they're trying to develop an electric car, but we'll see how that turns out. So.